All right, so you can mute your mic. We started with this our game last time, which is a colors game. And what's the aim of this game? The computer is going to generate some random colors depending on the level that you want to play there, like that. So if you're on level 1, it's going to generate these 6 colors. So if you're on level 2, it's going to generate 9 colors. And if you're on level 3, it's going to generate 12 colors. And what is the goal here is for the user to just click on any one of these color that matches what the computer pick at the top here, like that. And we've already get to a lot of places there. We are done with the HTML parts. We are done with 99% of the CSS parts, but we are working on the JavaScript parts. And as you can see, the game is working already, just that there are some stuff that are not yet added. So if I click on level 2, the color here is supposed to change. If I click on level 3, you see that the color has been replaced. If I click on this one again, it's pick. And what is it doing here? So we have this JavaScript file where we have the computer box, the level select, and the button box there. So this button box, that's the one that is holding all the buttons that we have here. And we have this other value here that we can change there, and any function can have access to them. That's the reason why we define them at the top here, so that any function we create later on can modify them. And that is why we are using let, because it's something that can change. So here we have the game level, which is set to 6 by default, which is what we have as level 1. So which means it's going to generate 6 button. And on the HTML, anytime you change the level, it's going to give us the corresponding value, and based on that we generate the buttons that we need. But the color have to come in randomly there, like that. So the value we have here has to be random, the value here has to be random, and the value here has to be random. And that's the reason why we have this function known as this generate random number. And I've already explained what is math.floor and math.random there, like that. Again, so I've already explained what is the part stats, what is doing there. So this one is going to generate the random number for us, which is a number between 0 and 256, without including this 256, because the color or the number you are going to have here is between 0 and 255 there. So it can be 0 all the way to 255, the same thing here too, and the same thing here, like that. And that's the reason why we have this function here, which is generating the colors for us there, like that. So we are generating the one for the red by calling this function we've defined at the top here. We do the same thing for the green, we do the same thing for the blue, and from there we are constructing the color code that we want there, because for the RGB color code, it follows this pattern where you have the RGB, then in the bracket you have the value for the red, comma, the value for the green, and the value for the blue. And that's what we are getting here, like that. But we're not just going to be putting stuff in directly here. It's depending on the level, so the number that is attached to the level. So if you're on level 1, we need to generate 6 colors, and that's what we are doing inside this our function start game here, because everything we are doing here, we always do it every time the user is starting the game. So whether you change the level or you need to restart the game later on when they are done playing the level, there, like that, they can restart the game again. And that's the reason why we have this function start game, which is what we are calling down here. And as you can see again too, we are calling it inside the select there, like that. So anytime the level change, we set our game level, and from there we restart the game. And that's the reason why the color is changing, because anytime we change the level, it will set the level and it will start the game all over there, and everything is happening inside this function that we have there. So inside this function, as you can see, we are generating the colors. And I told you last time we can use this new array to generate empty array without value. So we need, because you don't know the level that the user will be playing at that moment, but you need to generate the number of the value that you attach to this thing there like that. So we can use this new array there like that. So once we give it one value, what it will do is that it will generate empty list based on this value. And as you can see, since I've passed 5 there, it's generating empty space for us like that based on the value that you pass here. So no value there yet, as you can see, no value and no index 0, no index 1, no index 2, and no index 3, and no index 4, because there is no value yet. What this one will just do is to create empty array with the number of space that you pass inside it. But we need to put something inside it there so that we can actually generate the colors that we want. So, and that's this one we're using this field. So on your array, it's come with a bunch of operators that you can use here. One of them is this field. Another one that we've used that I'm still going to get into later on is this map. And another one that we're going to be using later on is known as this for each. So I'm going to be explaining this one too, which is this for each. So array come with a lot of methods, a goodies that you can use on it. And one of them is fill. And what is fill? This fill allows you to fill whatever the empty space that you generated with the value you pass here. So whatever value you pass here, that's what is going to fill in all those space. When you create the array and you don't fill it, it will just give you empty space based on the number you pass into it. But we don't want those space to be empty. We want to fill them with something first so that we can iterate it and put or replace the content with something else. And that's where this fill comes in there. So you can fill it with anything you want, but we fill it with 0 so that by default what is going to be inside is 0 0. But if you want, you can fill it with this empty space first. Then once we get this array, after we fill it with empty space, what did we did next? The next thing that we did is map. And what is map? I told you last time, the map allows you to map your array from one value to another value. For example, we have a list of array here, and we want to map it to another set of array there. For example, I have 1, I have 2, and I have 3. This is the array that you have currently. But this array that you have currently here, you want to map it to the square of each one of them. So which means, what is the square of this one? That's 1. The square of this one is going to be 4, and the square of this one is going to be 9. So based on this array that we have here, we are mapping it to another set of array, which is now whatever value you want to output there like that. And this is what we call mapping here. You are mapping from one array to another array. And here, what does that mean? It means you are generating another array based on this list that you have here. So that's how map work. So for example, here now, if I save this value inside X, so now anytime I call X, I will always get back this my array. But this array that I have here, I can map it to another set of value. Or I can just say X is going to be 5, is going to be 8, and is going to be 2. So X is this value. But this value now, I want to create another array out of it, but it's going to be square of each one of the value we have here. So here now we can undo x.map. So with this map, what is expecting for you is a function, and this function needs to return a value. Whatever value that this function is returning, that's what is going to use to create a new set of array out of the one you are using there like that. And every time this map is being used on this X, is going to call this your function on each one of the value at a time. So for the first time, it will call the function on this 5, and whatever value you return, that's what is going to get for the new array at this position. So the next time is going to run the function, which is what we pass inside the map here, for this value, and whatever you return for this one, that's what is going to be the new value for the new array that you want to get back. And the same thing it will do is for the third one, and so forth like that, depending on the number of items you have in your array. So here now, for you to get the value that is here, you can actually receive it from here, and you can do whatever you want to do. For example, here I want to multiply it by 2, and as you can see, this is our array, but we are mapping it to another set of array. You are not changing what is here. If I call X, we're still going to get back our old array. What we are doing here is just to create a new array based on whatever that is inside this X. So whatever array you have inside your X, and you map through it with this your function, whatever is returning, that's what is going to return for each one of the value you have there. So for every of the value, as you can see, I'm multiplying the value by 2. So which means for the first one, the v is going to be 5. So that is going to be 5 times 2, which is 10. That's why we have 10 here. So the next time your v will be 8. That's 8 times 2. That's why we have 16 here. The next time the v here is going to be 2. That's 2 times 2. That's why we have 4 here. So out of this array here now, we are generating a new set of array there like that. And that's the same thing that we are doing here. So that's the same thing that we are doing here. So we are creating a new array based on the level. You know, the level can either be 6, it can be 12, or it can be 9. So based on that level here now, we fill everything with 0. Then after we fill everything, we map through it and use it to generate random. I don't care about the value that is here. This value I fill here, because what I just want to do is to fill that empty space, and for each space that we have there, for each value that we have, then I'm generating a new color to represent those values, just like the way it is here. So if I want this map now, I don't need to receive value. So for every one of them, I can just say math dot random like this. So dot random like that, then multiply by 10 like this. I don't even need the value, as you can see. So for each one of them, yes, for the first 5, it gives us this one. Then after mapping through the second one, it gave us this. After mapping through the next one, it gave us this one. And that's the same thing we are doing here, because I don't need the value, so I'm not receiving it. But assuming I need the value, because I'm going to be needing the value later on, but for now I don't need it here, so I don't need to receive it. What I just need to do is to call this my generate random color, which is going to be here. That means for each one of the value that we have inside this array that will fill with 0, we are generating a new array. You are not replacing what is here, you are generating a new array, but the value you return from this your map, that's what is going to use to replace each one of the value there. Don't forget, what I mean by replace here is that the new array you are creating, so it's not going to replace the old one. The old one will always be there. So like this one now, x is still remaining its old value, but this one is a new array that we generated out here. So if you need this value, you need to save it somewhere there like that, and that's what we are doing here. So the new array that we are generating based on what we have here, we are saving it inside the colors. So here now, I can console log out these colors, and you're going to see that every time it's going to generate the array for us. So let me clear the terminal, then go back into the code and save this one. And once you get to the browser there, you say that once the page is done, it's going to generate the colors for us. As you can see, because the level is 6, is level 1, so it's going to generate 6 colors. So by default, it looped through the array. This is what it's doing there. So we have this new array like that. So for example, since the level is 6, so we pass it like this, and we fill it with 0 in this way. And as you can see, this is what you get out of this line before the map. So before the map, all the way to this side, this is what you are going to get. But for each one of these value here, what are we now doing? We are mapping into another set of value, which is this random color. And that's the reason why you see that we have all these values. So for all these 0, 0 here, we are generating a new array out of it, and we are mapping the color to them like that. But if you don't save this thing, it will be lost. That's the reason why we save it in a color, so that we can reuse it again anywhere we need it there like that. And if I change the level from level 1 to level 2, you see that since the number has changed, then it will regenerate the color again. Why is it regenerating it? Is because down here we have this event list now that is listening for change on our select. So anytime the select change, it will update our game level, and once the game level is updated, as you can see, it will start the game again. So which means it will call this function, and when it gets here, since we've changed the game level down here, it will see that the value is no longer what is there before, is now the new value based on the level that you select there, because we've already connected this in the HTML. So when you select level 1, you are going to get 6 as the value. When you select level 2, you are going to get 9, and we select level 3, you are going to get 12, which is what is happening right now. And what else did we did here? What we do here is that to pick out of these colors that we have now, out of the colors that we have here, we need to pick one at random for the computer, so that it's going to be the computer color that will be displayed here. Because anytime this thing change, it see that out of those colors, so if you expand this one now, you see that this one is 0, 98. So if you look at it, the computer is picking this one. This is what the computer is picking here. So we don't just want the computer to just pick the first one, or we want to pick the second one. It have to happen at random, and that's the reason why we are creating this random index for the computer here. So we are doing the same thing that we did at the top here, but now we are not dealing with color, we are dealing with the length of the array, because you have to pick from the list. So the first time the array index is from 0 to x, so we can't just say, oh, this thing will always be this number, because if you look at it right now, it's now 0 to 5, and if I change it to level 3, you see that this one will now be 0 to 11. So the index will always change, and we don't know which one is going to be at the time. That's the reason why we are multiplying this random by the color length. So whatever the length of the color, we know that it will always pick the one out of it. So whether it is 12 or it is 9 or it is 6, it will pick a number in between whatever the index there. Don't forget, when you multiply by whatever number you will multiply by random, it will never get to that number. It will get from 0 all the way to that particular number, but not including it. And don't forget, when you are dealing with math.random, what you always get back is a number between 0 and 1, but you can multiply it with any number that you want it to be the end. So here now, if I multiply with 7, it will always give me a number between 0 and 7. As you can see, 6 here. But I don't need all the decimal parts. That's the reason why we use math.floor like that, so that any decimal parts from the number, it will remove it. As you can see, I have 6 now. The next time I try it, it's giving me 1. It will always give you a number between 0 and this number, not including this last one. It will include 0, but it will never include the last one here. So anytime you run it, as you can see, it's including 0, but you will never get the end, which is what you multiply it. And that's what we want here, because whatever the array length you have, it never gets to the final one. So it's always from 0 all the way to the array length minus 1. So if the level is 3, that means this thing is going to be this in there 12, and since it's 12, it means index is going to be 0 to 11, and that's what we are doing here. So it's going to pick out of this color here, pick one of them at random, pick the index. As you can see, that it's picking the index here. So based on that index now, we are now using it to pick the value here, and that's what is going to be the computer color. So based on the index that we have generated here, based on the index that have been generated here, we are using it to pick a value inside our color, and that color now is what we set as the computer color, and that's what is getting displayed at this side there. So if I scroll down, you see that here the one that have 009 is this one. Where is it? Yeah, so this is what it picked. So it picked for that random now, the index was 5. So since it's 5, then it's going to pick the color that matches that inside it. And since it's done picking the color, what do? We update the UI by showing it to the user, and that's what is showing here like that. But I don't want this thing to be small letter. I don't want this thing to be small letter, so I will go into the CSS. I will go into the CSS there like that and change it to font width, be text transform to be uppercase, because I want everything to be displayed in capital letter. So text, what's wrong with VS Code? Transform like this is going to be not capitalized. I want everything to be uppercase like this. So save the code, and once this thing gets to the browser, we should have everything in capital letter now. So it's going to put it capital letter, because if you look at it, the color we are generating is small letter, but I want to display it on the screen in this way. So if you change it, it will always maintain this uppercase there like that. So that's what we are doing on this line. So we generate our color. After generating the colors, we pick a random index from it, and that random index, we use it to select a color for the computer. Then after we select the color for the computer, we update the UI so that it shows at the top there like that. Then after showing it at the top, we need to generate all these buttons down here based on the same color too. So all this color now, we need to generate buttons out of it. So the same way that we use what we did here to generate random color, so the same thing that we did up here to generate random color. So based on the color that has already been generated, we are mapping through, or we are looping through the stuff which is map. Then for each color of there, we are creating a button that matches the color there like that. So for the first one, we create button for it. For the second one, we create button for it. For the third one, we create button for it, and so forth like that, depending on the number of colors we have there. So once the color is generated here, we loop through it over here. Then out of it, we create a button, which is what we are doing here. So we are creating the element, and the element we are creating is button. And again, the button style, we send the background to this. And you need to return. Don't forget, whatever you return, that's what is going to return as the new value for your array that you are mapping through there like that. So we have all this color. So we are mapping all this color to the buttons that we are creating here. So here we are returning random color. But if you look at it here now, we need the color so that we can put it on the button there like that. So that's why we receive the color. So this color, for the first time you loop through it, is going to be this. The second time is going to loop, it will be this. The third time it will be this, because it will do it for all of them. Whatever the value you have in your array, it will go over them one by one. And whatever stuff you are using here, that's what this thing is going to be representing. So the one it's currently giving you at that moment is what this color is going to be represented there. If you like, I can call it X, you can call it Y. But here, since I'm dealing with color, that's why I'm calling it color. Don't forget, this is just a variable, which is this is just a parameter, which is representing whatever this thing is going to be giving you later on. So now this element here is now going to be all the buttons that we want there like that. So if I console log out the element here now, so for each of the color that we have here, we are generating button for them, and all those buttons too, don't forget, they will come back as array. So we save it inside this element. That's why it have S. So it's not just one item, it's multiple items. So the same thing too, I call this one colors with S because it's going to be multiple there like that, just like the way it is on the screen here like that. So it's not just one item, it's multiple color there. The same thing too, we are not doing it for the elements there like that. So we are doing it for the element. So for each colors, we loop through it, which is a map, because we are not changing anything here. We are just looping through the stuff, or we are mapping it to another set of arrays. So all this color you have here, so this is the first one. As you can see, it will give us first button for that. So for the second one here, it will give us the second button for that, and so forth, depending on the number of item you have there. So if I change from level 1 to level 2, you can see 9 colors has been generated. Then based on that 9 colors, it will generate the 9 buttons, and each one of the buttons here, they are going to be having this the background style on them like that, and that button we are returning back so that we can display it on the screen. And how do you display it on the screen? That's where this line comes in there, which is this box dot append here. So what is append? I've explained this one too before there like that. So append allows you to add items inside your HTML. As you can see, nothing is inside it right now. So what append will do is that it will put whatever element you are putting inside that element, it will put everything inside it like this. So this is the element, which is the button box there like that. So the button box, if you look at it at the top, is just selecting our section, but we're naming this buttons box like that. And what are we doing there? We are appending all these elements inside it. But this element is not just one. So when you are using append, you have to be appending them one by one, but that's waste of time. So what you have to do here is elements at 0, because you need to be appending them one by one. Then you are going to do elements at 1 and so forth like that. So this one, it means we only want to append the first one and the second one, but that's not what we want. We want this thing to append all of them at once, and that's the reason why we are using something known as spread operator. So this dot 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 that you have here is what we call spread operator. So it's known as spread operator, and what it's going to do for you is that every item that you have here is going to put it inside this append one by one. So if you have 20 elements here, it is going to spread all of them just like the way I typed it before. So what this 3 dots will do is that it will do something like this. So element at 0 like that. So comma elements at 1 comma like that, element at 2 all the way to the end of the list that you have there. But instead of us doing it by ourselves, because you know the length can change because depending on the level. So this spread is going to look at everything and make sure that all of them is just as if you are passing them one by one to this append. So append is useful when you want to add multiple elements at the same time. But if it's just one element that you want to add there like that, what you can just do is to do your buttons box, then append child. So this one, it will allow you to append one element at a time. So you can just be doing them one by one, but that's waste of typing. You can see if it is 12 buttons, I have to type it 12 times. If it is 10 buttons, I have to type it 10 times, which is waste of time. But with append, you can add all of them at once inside this place. But there is going to be a problem when this line is not there, this inner HTML. So when you are using append, it's not removing whatever you have there before, it's adding to the list of what is here. So if I disable this line, go to the HTML page, then just type this testing. It will never remove this testing. What it will do is that it will add to the end of whatever you have there before. So what this one does is that it will always add to the end of whatever you have there before, like that. So it doesn't remove. So it doesn't remove whatever you have in your HTML. As you can see, that one will always be there. It will not remove it. So again, if I go to level 2 now, as you can see, it's adding to everything that is there before. If I go to level 3, it will add to the list of what is there. If I go to level 1, it has already added again. If I go to level 2, as long as you are changing this in, it will always add to the end, as you can see. So when you are appending, it's not removing what is there before, it's adding new stuff based on every other thing that is there. So after everything that is there, it will put the new stuff at the end of it. But this is not what we want. We want to remove everything that is there before we now add a new one, and that's what this line is doing there, like that. So this here now, what we are saying is that whatever that is there before, we are clearing it. Just set it to this empty space. So which means anything that might be inside this section before, we are clearing them and we are setting it to this empty space before we are now adding something inside it. And once I go to the page, I can see now, so the text that is coming from that HTML or anything that is there, it will remove them first. That's what this thing is doing. So in HTML, that's what you can use to set anything in your element there, like that. So I'm setting it to the empty stuff so that it will remove whatever that is there. Then after that, I will now append what I want to add it like that. So here now, I don't need to be putting this one. It's just to showcase what is going on there with this line. So this line will make sure that whatever that is there before, they will wipe out before we append or before we add new thing inside it. So this one is adding, is not removing what is there before. So in order for it to remove what is there, we use this inner HTML to clear everything that is there before. We now add the new item. So now anything that is there before, these are what is there before. So now if I change it to level 2, it will remove them first before putting the new buttons that we just generated now. So again, if I click level 3, all those buttons that is there before will be wiped out, and it will replace it with these new buttons that are being generated based on the color that we have, like that. And that's where we stop, but we need to go more than that. So we need to go more than that. So there's some stuff we're supposed to do here before we return the button, because each one of the buttons we have, we need to add event on them. Like anytime they are clicked, we need to do something, because the goal of this game is that once the color is generated, the user needs to click one of them. Then once it's clicked, we need to check whether the one they click on matches the color code that we have here. Then if this matches, we show the message to them, but if it's not, then we show the error message depending on whatever it's going on the screen. And we need to do all those things inside this place, because for each one of the buttons, we need to add event listener. And what do we need to do? We need to click on the button. So we need to add the add event listener here, like that. And what type of event we want to add here is just the click event. So we want to add click event. So anytime this button is clicked, we want to compare the user color to the computer color, or we want to compare whatever they pick here to the color that so look at it here. As you can see, this is computer color. So this computer color now, anytime you click on any button, we need to check this color whether they are the same thing. If they are the same thing, that means they win the game. But if they are not the same thing, that means they lose the game here, like that. So for example here, let me just console log out the color, because we have access to the color already here. So and let me save it and go back to the page. For now, we don't even need this user. So I'm going to remove this one because I don't want to do complex stuff right now. Using that method is going to take us a lot of lessons. So I'm going to put everything directly inside this button so that we don't need to stress ourselves. Even this computer color here, yeah, I can just put it here without even put it outside. But for now, let me just leave it there like that. And on this console log, where did I have the console log? I have the console log on line 42. So where is line 42? Line 42. Okay, this is it here. So I don't need this console. Another console is on line 24. Okay, I don't need this console too. Like that, because anything I'm not using right now, I don't want to show it on the console. The only thing I want to show on the console is what I'm talking about. So yeah, now you're not going to see any console again until you click on any of the buttons. So if I click on this button, as you can see, it's giving us the color that is attached to this button. So if I click on this one, as you can see, this one too will give us the color that is attached to it. And what do we need to do now? So any button you click on will compare the color that is attached to it to the one that we give to the computer. If they are the same thing, you win the game. If they are not the same thing, you do not win the game, and we'll bring out our message. Don't forget, on the screen we have this message here that is hidden. So we need to update it, and we put the correct message there like that. And there is something too that we're supposed to have done here that we put it. So this color that is here is not supposed to be or let's just leave it like that, so we don't need to do too much code. So let me just leave it there in that way. So what do we need to do now based on what I just mentioned? So we need to use our condition now. So we need to check if the color we have is the same thing as computer color. So if they are the same thing, that means the user gets the color right. So when it is here, it means user get the color right. Else, that means the user selection is wrong. So, and we need to do some stuff based on this. So if the color, because each one of the button have their color. So if you click on this, there's no way to be giving you the color on this one, and there's no way this one to be giving you. So if I click on this, as you can see, its own color is different. This one is for this. The first one here is for this. Because if I click on it again, as you can see, it's giving the same color. Anytime you click this, it will always give you the same color. It will never give you another color there. So if you click on this button, then we need to compare the stuff, and that's what we did here. So if the color that we put on this button that you click on is the same thing as what we pick for the computer, that means the color that or the button that user click on is the correct one. But if it is not, that means the user did not click the correct buttons, and we need to do some stuff. What do you need to do when they get the color right? So what we need to do here, as you can see at the top, or what we need to do is that our message box. So we've not selected that one. So this our message box, we need to select it so that we can put something inside it. So here I'm going to be selecting it, so calling it message box here, which is going to be document like this. So query selector, which is going to be message like this. So I'm using the class on it. So I'm using this class message to select that p tag. And what do we need to do here? So when you get it right, what do we need to do? So first of all, we need to remove this class. We need to remove this class hidden that is here. So we need to remove that class hidden. So which is going to be the message. So message box here. Then dot class list. We've talked about this one, to remove class or to add class. All this one we've talked about them. So dot remove. What are we removing? We're removing hidden, and at the same time, if there is any error there before, we need to remove it. So this one is very important, but I'm going to comment it out so that you see the effect of this in later on. So from there, what do we need to do? So this message box there, like that. So the message box, then inner HTML, because we need to put something inside it. So this is going to be yes, like that. So let me bring some icon out so that we can put the icon there, celebration icon, like that. So let me just pick celebration icon. So I'm going to go under, it should be here, like that. So under this, it should be it should be here. So this is celebration. So this is one. This is another one icon that I want to use. So which other one that I want to use? Let me put another one again, and I think that's all. So yes, like that. Yes, you. Oh yeah, computer come aside. You have. Let me just type my stuff. You have won the game. Yes, you have won the game, or your color is correct. Whatever stuff you want to put it. But at this place, when the stuff is wrong, so we need to do the opposite there like that. Or let me move this one out, because every time you click on the button, we always want to remove the stuff. So the same thing I want to do here is what I'm going to do here. So I'm moving it out because it's always going to be there. The only thing I just need to do right now is to add it that by just saying oh no, like this. So I'm going to put another emoji here too, which is the one for error like that. So the one I'm going to pick is this. Oh no, which one should I use? So let me go into this one. So where are they? So oh no, like that. So I'll be using all this one. So you are not winning anything. Yeah, so emoji will be different. Oh no, that's a wrong selection, like that. So this is what I just want to show. And again too, we need to do something. What do we need to do? So message, as you can see here now, that's the reason I want to remove this one here. So because we need to show the error one. So message box, then dot class links, then dot add the error. But where is this error coming from? Don't forget, when we are dealing with our CSS, you see that we've already created the class error. So when there is no class error, the color is going to be green. But when there is error, then the color is going to be red. And that's what we are doing here, because when you get here, it means you did not get it right. So we need to put the stuff out in this way. But there is a problem. The problem there is that anytime you get it right, maybe you've already get it wrong before, it will not remove the color error that is there, which means for this one, it will still be showing that we have error stuff on the page. So if I save this code now and go back to the screen there like that, so click on any one of them, can you see I guess this? So that means I pick the correct stuff. So once you pick the correct stuff, it will compare it, and if it is the same thing, as you can see, the message that will come outside is this. And if I click on the wrong color, as you can see, it's going to take me that I picked the wrong stuff. But now if I click on the right stuff again, can you see it's showing that I get it right, but the color did not change to green. Why is it not changing to green? Is because we did not remove the color error, because there must be a time you've already picked the error and you want to pick the right one, so it will not be okay like that. So, and that's the reason why this line is very important. So it will remove any error that is there before, and from there it will be able to display the correct one like that. So if I click on this one, as you can see, I did not get it right. If I click on the one that is right later on, you'll see that the color will change there. So if you pick the one that is wrong, it will go to red, and if I pick the one that is right, it will go to the green color, because anytime it is right, it will show the one for this by removing the error if it is there. So if I click on it, as you can see, error message is there. But now if I click the one that is right, it will remove that error. But if the error is not even there, it will not do anything, because remove is smart there like that. So if it is there, it will remove it. But if it's not there, then it will let it go like that. But this is not how you're supposed to be play the game. Not that you have to be clicking on them until you get the right one. No, this is not the way it's supposed to be. So anytime you click and you select it, we're supposed to disable all this button so that you can restart the game again, because there's supposed to be a button coming out here like that. So there's supposed to be a button coming out when you select. So if I reload the game for the first time, as you can see, you've not really selected anything, so this button will not show. But once you click on any button, whether you get it right or not, we need to disable all this button, because you pick your answer, and since the answer is wrong, you need to restart the game again, or you need to start it with another game. So you need to click on the button here to restart the game. So which means in our HTML code, before the main here, so I'm going to be adding button, and this button here is going to be restart. So, and this button will only come outside when you've already clicked on any button. This is when you've already clicked on any button, that's where this restart, not restart. So restart again, I'm going to give you the class like that, so which is going to be restart like that. So restart, and this button, in order for me to see what is going on there, so let me style it first before removing it from the page. So once this thing is done and it's load, it get to the browser there, we should have the button appear by the side. But I don't want it to appear by the side like this. I want it to be on top there. So, and the reason is like that is because we did not so we need to have the flex direction here to be column like that. So the gap should be 1 rem like this. And once this thing is saved, and it get to the browser there like that, and it get to the browser there like that, we should have the button at the top. VS Code, why are you slowing down this recording? So once it's get there, I should have the button at the top. Again, let me select that button and style it the way I want. As you can see, it's there like that. So I have this restart, which I'm going to give the background of white like this. So border is going to be none like that. So border radius is going to be 1 rem like this, and padding top and bottom, that's a 0.75 rem, 1 rem left and right like that. So the cursor is going to be pointer like this, so that it's pointing. It's something that it showed. Yeah, it's pointer already, so I don't even need to add that one. I think I've added it somewhere else. There I have a start for button. Yeah, so that's the reason why. So it's using this like that. It's using the style down here. So let me just give this restart at the top, and once this thing is saved and it gets to the browser, we should have this thing coming out properly there. As you can see, this is how the button is going to look like. But I don't want it to come outside like this, because you've not really played the game, you've not really play any of these games. So the only time you need to come outside is when you've already clicked on any button. So which means by default there like that. So it's going to have that same class too, hidden. We've already created this thing as a generic class. So down here, if you look at it, any one of them that have class hidden, the display is going to be none. As you can see, it's not showing right now. And when do we want to show it? The time we want to show it is when you click on the button. So when you click on the button, when we are doing the checking, at that point we need to show that button so that they can restart the game again, because they need to click on the button to start the game again like that. And why do we need to have it? So yeah, I'm going to be having it here. So const restart button like this is going to be documents. So documents dot query selector like this. We are going to have it as a restart in that way. So it is going to select my button. And what do I want to do here? So this restart button, anytime you play the game, whether you are right or you are wrong, so that's why it is down here. So this restart button like this, then dot class list, then dot remove. We need to remove that hidden that will pass into it. So anytime you click on any of the button, whether it is right or wrong, this our button is supposed to come outside so that they can click on it to restart the game again. Even though to restart the game is not there yet, but we are going to add that event on the button soon. So yeah, now going back to the page, as you can see, if I click on it, so because we've clicked on the button, as you can see, it will appear. And once it appears and you click on it, it's supposed to reset everything that we have here. And what it's going to do is going to restart the game by calling this function again. And where can we do that one? So we can do it down here too, just like the way we did for this level. So what we can just do here is the restart button like this. So add event listener like that. And what type of event are we looking for here? It's not change. When you're dealing with button, what you are looking for is click, not change. So anytime this button is click, that means it's already outside and it's click. We want to do the start game. So it's going to call the start game, and the start game is going to do whatever it needs to do like that. So yeah, what I just need to do is to save the code. And once this code is saved now, you'll see that anytime we click on this restart button now, is going to restart our game. So now if I click on this, yes, I want it. So once I click on restart, you see that it has restarted the game again like that. What's wrong with this thing? So let me click on this. So click on restart. As you can see, it has changed the color, and this one too has changed. But can you see the message is not removed? The message is supposed to be removed. Anytime you click on restart, the game is restarting, but it's not removing the error message for the old game, and it's still not removing this button there like that. So anytime you click on this restart, what we need to do is that this restart button itself there like that, we need to add class hidden back. So anytime you click on it, it needs to add the class back, which is going to be the hidden, and at the same time it needs to do the same thing for that our message box. So message box, and at the same time this our message box, we need to clear whatever that is here. As you can see, it's showing it even though I'm restarting the game. it's still showing that error message, because on the screen, if you go to your this in there, as you can see, that message is still there. So we need to remove it, so that the only time it will come outside is when you click on the button. And to remove it, the same way we set it, that same way we are going to remove the stuff. So before we start the game, we remove this button, we remove the message that is there, and again we set whatever stuff that is there back to the empty, the way it is by default. So this is how it is by default, like that, and we are returning them back. So here now, if I click on this button, as you can see, I guess it's wrong. So if I click on restart now, can you see this button will go and the message too will go, because you are now playing a new one. And if I click on this, you see that this one will go to, and if I restart, it will be the same thing. But there's going to be a problem again here too. So if I click on this and if I change the level, as you can see, we have the same problem. So the same problem we have when we click on restart is the same thing we have when we click on the level. Even though the game has changed, because now anytime you change the level, the game is changing, but it's not removing all this thing. All this thing too should be removed. So since we are going to be doing this thing every time, so you can see the same thing that I'm doing here is the same thing that I'm doing here. So what we can do here is to create a function known as reset game. So I'm going to cut all this thing out, go up like that, just like the way we have start game. So here I'm going to have another function known as reset. So this one is going to be reset game, like that. And what is the game going to, what is this one function going to do? It will do everything here like that. So now I can copy this function, then go down here, call it at this place like that, and at the same time call it here, because it's the same thing they are going to do. So anytime you change your level, you need to reset the game. The same thing too, anytime you click on restart game, it needs to reset the game. And since these two are doing the same thing, that's the reason why I put it here. It's not a must that you do it like this. You can do copy and paste, but we don't want to be doing copy and paste. We want to do the same thing like this one. Since we are calling this function in different places there, we'll create a function for it. So since we are calling this one too, or everything here in different places, so instead of you doing copy and paste, we just create a function, and anytime you call that function, it's going to perform everything that we have here. So we have a function to reset game. The job of that one is to reset any of the value back to the default. So it's going to reset them back like this, and it's going to start the game again. So now if I click on any of this value and if I change the level, as you can see, it will reset the game. And again, if I click on this and click on restart, it will do the same thing. So I have a function, and that function I'm reusing it in different places where it needed. So reset, do all this stuff by resetting all this value back to the original form, then start the game. And what the start the game is doing is going to regenerate new colors. It's going to pick a new color for the computer, and at the same time the user needs to click on the button, and once they click on the button, we check if the color is the same thing as the computer. If it's the same thing, we do everything here, but if it's not the same thing, we do everything here. But whether the color is the same or not, we should always show our restart button. Another thing we need to do is to disable all this button, because right now if I click on this and if I click on another button, as you can see, it's still working. So it's still going to work even if we click on the other button. As you can see, other button is still working. We don't want it like this. So anytime you click the button for the first time, the button, so what we need to do here is that if your game is wrong, if what you pick is wrong, we need to tell the user, the one that is right here, and we need to disable the button like that. So anytime you click on any of this item, if it is wrong or it is right, we need to disable all the buttons. You are not supposed to be clicking on this button again. The only thing you can do is to change your level or to restart the game. That's the only thing you can do. So but right now, as you can see, I can still click on the button. So how can we disable all these buttons? How can we disable them? So to disable all the button, what we just need to do is to add attribute there. So every of the elements, so for example now, our select, as you can see, I can select everything that I want there. But now if I go to the HTML code, and I give it this disable attribute, just like your input. Once you disable any control like this, you will not be able to work with it again. Can you see? So it has been disabled. You cannot work with it. That's the same thing we want to do with this, our button. anytime you click on any button and we have the message outside here, we need to disable all this button. You are not supposed to be able to click this in again until you click on restart. So once you click on restart, that's where all this thing will be clickable again like that. But how do we disable all this button? This is what we need to do. We need to set this attribute on our buttons. So all the buttons that we want to generate here, that we have here, we need to set disable over them. But how do we go through all of them and set it to disable? It's quite easy like that. So I told you array come with a lot of goodies like that. So for example, I have x to be 1 4 like this. So this array, we can use something known as this for each. So you can think of this for each as that map that we use. But the difference between them is that for each, you don't need to return anything there. So this one too will receive a function like that. But whatever you are doing here, you don't need to just do anything you want, but it will never return any value. When you are dealing with map, you need to return a value in your function. Can you see? So whatever you return is what is going to use to replace, or is what is going to use to create the new array. But when you do for each is not returning anything. You just want to do something for each one of the value. So the first time it will give you 1, do whatever you want to do, and that's the end of that one. It's not returning anything. Then the second time it will give you 4, do whatever you want to do at that point, and when you are done, that's the end of it. And as you can see, that one doesn't return anything. It's not returning a new set of array. What it will do is that it will go through over each one of these value that you have in here, then it will do whatever you want to do with them like that. And what do we want to do here? Look at it. We already have this, our elements down here. So what we can just do there. So again, another thing that we cannot just use this element because we are here. So we need to select all this button back there. We need to select all of them. But how do we get all this button? It's quite easy there like that, because we have this our button box. So let me console log it out. This button box, we know that is the one that is going to hold all our button later on. So let me just console log it out. Then inside it, don't forget we have the children. The children is going to give you all the buttons that we have inside it, or all the elements we have inside it. And again, this thing will come back in a form of array. And that's now we can use our for each on it. So let me go back to the page. Click on this. Can you see? It's giving us this HTML collection like that. And this HTML collection did not really have what we want. It did not have anything like for each, but we are going to convert it to array. So anything that looks like array, you can convert them to array. So this one now is we can convert it to array by just creating a new variable. So yeah, we can do const btns like this. Inside this our array like that, we can use our spread operator. So what I'm doing here is that everything that is coming from these children, we are spreading it just like what we did down here. That's what we did for this append. Everything that is coming from this element, we are spreading it inside the append. So here too, everything that is coming from these children, so what is coming there is this HTML collection. Even though it looks like array, it's not array, it is HTML collection. And since it's HTML collection, as you can see, there is nothing like for each on it. So what we need to do is to convert it to array. And to convert it to array, just spread everything inside this your square bracket there, which is going to convert it to array like that. And from here, I can just console log out this my btns, the one with s. They are different there. So this one up here is one I'm creating inside map, while these btns here are all those one that is going to be putting inside the box later on. So now if I click on this thing is not saved yet. So let me save it. So once this thing is saved, now if I click on it, as you can see now, is now array because I've converted it to array. So to convert anything that looks like array to array, just have the square bracket, then use the dot to spread everything inside it. So everything will be put, as you can see, to put everything inside the array one by one like this. And after we have the array, as you can see, we have access to this for each. So for each one of these things, now what we just need to do, instead of doing console log out here, we just need to do the btns. Then for each one of them, we are not mapping again. For each one of them, we want to disable it. So for each one of them like that, we want to disable it. And don't let me call it btn again, so that we know that it is different from the one at the top. So let me just call it b. So b is going to be set attribute. I've talked about all this thing before. Which attribute do we want to set? We want to set disabled. And what is going to be the value? then like that we want to set it to true. So what we are saying here is that for each of the button here, when you click, look at it, it will only happen when you are inside the click. So it's when you click on the button that all this magic will happen, like that. So when you click, it will run this your function, and inside the function we are checking if this stuff is the same. If it's the same, we do this. If it's not, we do this. Then after that, we loop through all the button, then we set the attribute to disable, so that the user will not be able to click them again until they restart the game. So now any of these buttons, you can click them, but if I click on one of them now, so even if you click on it, as you can see, they will not work again. So but the user did not even know that it's something they are not supposed to click. So what we can do here, because if you look at it, if you check the HTML code, you'll see that something has been added on them. Can you see the disable has been added? So since it's disabled, the click will not work again. It will never work again. The click will not work. But we need to put the CSS there, that anytime this thing is disabled, we need to style it differently. So I can just go down here. So we have disable state too. Just like the way we have that over state, again we have the disable state. So when it is disabled, you want to do some CSS like that. And what did I want to do here? I want the opacity to be 0.5 here. So which means I don't want the thing to be clear on the screen like that. So once I save it now, anytime it is disabled, you see that it's going to reduce. Can you see there? So it will reduce the opacity of the stuff. Or if I even want to lower it more, I can use 0.2. So can you see? So it's telling us that it is disabled. And again too, I don't want any of this transform whatever stuff to work. So if I don't want it, what I can just do here is to use the not that I explained before too, like that. So anytime it is not so what I'm saying here is that anytime your button is over and it is not disabled, that's the only time it will do all this thing. So it will only transform, or it will only scale and rotate when the button is over and it is not disabled. Not here is negating what we have here. As you can see now, they will not be moving again. So the only time it will move is when the button is not disabled, and the only time it will not be disabled is when you restart the game. So when you restart the game now, it will tell you. So when you click, as you can see, it will be disabled. So you cannot click on any one of them again. So you are done with this particular game. In order for you to do another one, you have to click on restart there like that. So what am I doing here in the JavaScript code? So buttons box is this container here. So this container, it have a property on it which is known as, so this is the element here. So if you go to the element property, so if I go to the property of this this section here, if you scroll down, can you see there is children? So this is what I'm accessing here. But this children here is HTML collection, is not array. But we need to use something that is on array. That's what I'm doing here, like that. So I convert everything that is here to a proper array. Then on array, we have this for each. For each is like your map, but map is creating a new set of array based on this one that you have here. So based on this array, is creating a new set of array. But when you're using for each, is just looping through each one of them. So for each one of the item here, just do whatever you want to do. You don't need to return anything. Even if you return, it will not use it because it doesn't care about what you return. What you just need to do is that for each item that is here, just perform the action you want to perform. So if you need to return a new set of array based on what is there before, just use map. But if you need to perform action based on all the items you have in your array there, you use this for each. There's another one we're going to be using soon, but this is what you are going to be having there like that. And we are looping through it, then we set the attributes so that on each one of these buttons that we're going to be having there, we are now adding the, so let me reload. Yeah, as you can see, all the buttons, there's something like that disabled. So that's the reason why you will be able to click on them. But once I click, as you can see, that attribute now will be added. So it will loop through all of them, then add this disable attribute. And since it's disabled, you cannot click on them again. If you click, nothing will happen. The click will only work. Everything we are doing here, so this is our event listener that we are doing here, it will only work on button when that button is not disabled. Once the button is disabled, the event listener will not work again. It will not get called. The only time it will call is when this your disable is not there. And the only time it will be there is when you restart game, so that it will regenerate a new buttons. The old one has been removed, and these are the new buttons. And if you want, you can change the level like that. And once you click, it will tell you that you get the games right or you get it wrong like that. But there is something we need to do here. When the stuff is wrong, we need to tell the user which one is right there. So we need to tell them which one is actually right, like that. How do we do that? It's just simple. We need to look for the one that have its color match. But for now, we don't need to be adding all this unnecessary stuff. We can add all those, so you can do as assignments. So that one is going to be an assignment for you, like that. So I'm going to be sharing this code with you, and again I'm going to share it with you as a file. But in the next class, I'll be talking about how you can collaborate with people online. You don't need to be sharing the file yourself. We have where we used to put our code online, and you can go there, download, update it from your side, and me too that will see it at my end here. And we have something known as a GitHub. So we'll be talking about GitHub, what is Git, what is GitHub in the next class. This is where you can host your application there, like that. So you can use it to collaborate. As you can see, it's a collaborative platform where you put your code and you can collaborate with other developer, like that. So let me sign in there like that, because I did not sign in on this system. So once I sign in, well, my this thing is, I need to accept this thing on my phone. I need to give access. So I need to give access on my phone. It's loading. From your own side, you will not be having this because you did not set up 2 authentication factor. Why is this thing loading? But it's something you can set up to, so that even if someone log in with your password and email, do you still have to give some, as you can see now. So every of the project I've worked on, they are here. If I want to share this thing with anybody, I just need to share with them. And some of them, they are private, while some of them are public. Private means anybody can go there, and once they have the link, once they have this URL, they will be able to see all your code. So these are the code, they will be able to see everything. But any one of them that is private, is only those people that give access to that can see it. If I send it this URL now, if I send it to you, or even if I open the Ignito mode, or if I just open it in a private window that I did not sign in, and I try to go there, because you did not sign in or you don't even have access to it, as you can see, look at what it's showing. So this is what is going to show to people that are not signing or they don't have access to the project when it is private. It's only those people that have access to it that are going to see it. But because I have access to it now, look at the way it's showing at my own end. But now if I go to something, if I go to any other one that is public, maybe there's other one that I make public now. This one too is private. So let me go to my repository. What is repository? You are going to know about it in the next class here, like that. No notification. Let me go to my repository. Okay, so repository is like this. There are some that are private, there are some that are public. As you can see now, this is public. So if you have the link to this one, I can just share it with you, like that. So clicking on this to take me to the page, like that. Let me wait for it. As you can see, this one is public. So now I can just copy the link, go back to that place again, and open another tab, paste it. Since this one is public, whether you sign in or you are not signed, as you can see, it's going to show. Any repository that is public, anybody can see the code. You just need to open whatever the folder that you are working on, and you see whatever they are doing there, whatever code they have in their project. You can contribute to it. You too, the contribute means you too, you are adding your own code there like that, and you send it back, and then when they come here, they will see everything there, like that. So that's what we call contribution. So you collaborate. As you can see, all the code will be here, and you can download it on your system, make changes to it, then send it back, and you people will be communicating with each other. You can drop comment by telling them what they are doing on this line is right, what they are not doing is right, this is how they're supposed to do it, and so forth like that. We're going to be talking about it in the next class like that, because for this one I want to do now, I have to send the file to you, but that's not how we're supposed to work. We are supposed to work in a professional way by using the GitHub and Git there like that, so that we'll be able to collaborate easily online without sharing the file or sending anything physical there, and you can keep tracking of all the changes, as you can see here. So all the changes that have been made to this project, you are going to see all of them. So this what is commit, I'm going to explain all of them like that, and each changes that is there, you can give them message that this is what I do for these changes that I made. These are the reason why this thing is being done. and you leave a message down there like that. So for each changes you make, you can attach a message to them so that people that will be reading it knows what you are trying to push or what you are trying to work on, because when you are dealing with a project, you might be working with multiple people like that. So yeah, so that's going to be all for the class today like that. Let